This special presentation was produced in high definition by WEDU, Tampa, St. Petersburg, Sarasota. This program was made possible by the Florida Humanities Council. We come from all over, and we become one state, where we share in the history and become part of the culture that is Florida. The Florida Humanities Council, bringing Floridians together by sharing the stories of our state.
It began in 1926 with a beach party and 4,000 invited guests.
What a great idea the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers had in the early 20th century, that they would create a haven for their brotherhood to retire in the sunshine.
It continued with the nation's premier urban planner, inspired by the greatest cities of the world.
John Nolen is everything to Venice. If it wasn't for John Nolen, I don't think Venice would be where it is today.
Designs for a just and united society, though, ran headlong into a segregated Southern reality.
I guess he really didn't know when he came down here just how thick the race line was. And maybe a lot of people didn't know.
And his legacy is a timeless framework for creating better communities in the 21st century.
That is what democracy is, a balance between how can I make as much money as possible and also a commitment to the public good.
It's another day in Venice, Florida. Residents walk down wide boulevards and greenways that lead to the beach. Historic homes in Northern Italian or Mediterranean Revival architecture line Venice Avenue leading downtown. Locals and tourists enjoy the shops, and children stay cool in the kids' fountain at Centennial Park. People are engaged with each other, living their lives together in this space, in this place.
Living here gives them a feel to a large part of places that they grew up in. They want to continue that, they want to protect that.
The tree-lined streets, sidewalks, and parks of Venice create a tangible feeling of well-being. People can't always say what it is, but they like it immensely.
Ironically, I don't think it's a wow factor, I think it's an ah factor. It's relaxing and it's nurturing to be in a place that is designed around humans, because as a colleague of mine puts it, we all just want a hug.
Venice, like other Florida cities, is feeling the effects of the recession. Growth has slowed, property values are down, income is reduced. City leaders are facing tough decisions and redefining what kinds of growth the community wants moving forward.
I think you should focus on sustainable growth. What does that mean? If you keep adding to the point where traffic bogs down, people can't get across the streets to get into town, they're not going to go in town, they're going to go somewhere else.
Well, it gives Venice a chance to look back and be proud of its history, but also use the original plan as a way to move forward.
The native peoples who used to inhabit this part of Florida would hunt and fish along the Gulf and along the waters of this beautiful Maaca River. Over the centuries, this river attracted Spanish conquistadors, U.S. soldiers, runaway slaves, white settlers. But in the 1920s, a new group arrived and looked at all this beauty and said, we can make in this a new community, a community that will be a model for a new age.
The boom of the 1920s came to Venice in a big way. Dr. Fred Albee, a Harvard-educated orthopedic surgeon from New York, traveled to Sarasota in February of 1917, and he was hooked. An avid fisherman and an inventor, he purchased his first 112 acres from owner Bertha Honore Palmer, Mrs. Potter Palmer. She was a world-renowned Chicago socialite and businesswoman who single-handedly helped transform much of Sarasota County. Dr. Albee had a vision to construct a model city on the Gulf. He bought 1,468 more acres from Mrs. Palmer in 1925. he hired John Nolen, Boston's internationally renowned city planner, to help realize his dream.
Nolen is trying to anticipate the future. And you have to remember, when he started city planning, America was the most prosperous nation in the world. And we had prosperity in the 1920s like no other nation in the history of the world had ever seen.
That prosperity brought investors like the Brotherhood of Locomotive Engineers to Florida. Looking for good investments and an attractive place for its union members to live and retire, the BLE came to Florida looking to buy. Albee accepted their bid over 9 others, quintupling his original investment in a mere 9 weeks.
Okay, you've got this splendid site on the Gulf of Mexico, the prospect of hundreds of lots to be developed and sold, money to be made, but how do you get the people here? Well, as developers do today, you bring them in with free transportation. In this case, you bus them here, show them around, let them smell that salt air, and then give them lots of free food, like a barbecue.
Potential investors lined up for ribs and a bus ride to see what had been built. Over 4,000 employees of the George Fuller Construction Company would move to Venice to build the city. This group, called Fuller's Army, built 10 barracks for the blacks, 9 barracks for the whites. Married couples stayed in tents that were off-site to keep them separate from the rowdy crowds. Laborers worked 7 days a week, 12 to 14 hours a day. That breakneck pace enabled them to construct a town within the first 2 years. After the roads were cleared, they were graded, and men laid down the water lines.